Chicago, where Kevin Fishbain and Adam Johns of The Athletic report that David Montgomery is actually seeing reps on special teams. Kerrane, do you even like Montgomery enough in fantasy to be frightened by this news? And if so, how frightened are you?
I mean, it's one of those things. Yes, of course. Like, I'm not drafting Montgomery. I think I literally may not have drafted him in like 80 plus teams in Best Ball Mania. Like, I don't think I've drafted him once.
Okay.
So I really have no right to speak on this as I was already out.
Put yourself in the mind of someone who would draft him. Pat Doherty, say.
Yeah, I think Pat maybe cool it a little bit, because normally workhorse running backs don't get special teams reps. Yeah. And it was like a really weird thing where they were like, funny thing, David like did his special teams reps, and then he's like, I want to go take some reps with a scout team. I want to like see what's going over there, show those guys, some stuff. And so he like went and took reps with the scout team. I think the point being like, oh, this guy's kind of down for whatever. He's a great guy. But they like then they asked him like why he was taking special teams reps. He's like, for me, it was simple as like seeing my name on the depth chart and going over and doing what I was asked to do. So the whole thing was kind of spun as like, he's kind of a good soldier for the Bears or whatever. But I don't know, man. Like, that doesn't seem great. I know it's like probably nothing to get all overly panicky about, but the whole play with Montgomery is that he gets all the touches. He doesn't have long runs. He's not a great receiver. He's capable. He's certainly capable. But in the past, he has had a receiving back take a lot of that work away from him. They did draft this guy, Treston Ebner, who is a pretty interesting explosion receiving back. They took in the 6th round, and they seem to like him okay. And then Khalil Herbert, he really flashed some rushing ability last year and may end up being a better fit for their system, which is kind of more of the one cut and go stuff. And, Montgomery's kind of more of a dancer, kind of like a, elusive guy, but he doesn't necessarily even pick up that many yards after contact, although he can make people miss. And again, not a ton of explosive plays from him. So the whole thing just kind of screams committee to me if you're having him take special teams reps. Also, what were the reps? Because it didn't say.
I wanted to know this too.
That's a really good question.
Was he gunning punts? Was he returning kickoffs? Was he left guard on the PAT unit? I don't know. It doesn't really matter for fantasy purposes. I was just genuinely curious.
Yeah.
What was the guy getting up to?
It's an important football question. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, this team is going to be bad, and they seem to be like intentionally being bad. I think it is a situation in which the team, the new regime comes in. Justin Fields is not the guy they drafted. He was a bit of a polarizing prospect. It doesn't seem like they like him because they're big additions at wide receiver, which they desperately needed, knowing Allen Robinson was gone. Like, he was never coming back. It didn't seem like it was a good relationship. Okay, that's fine. You can draft some guy in the 1st or 2nd round. The 2nd round had great prospects. They were good free agents. What do they have? They have N'Keal Harry and like Byron Pringle. This is just unreal what they're doing to him. Okay, well, you spent your resources on the offensive line. No, they didn't. They're even looking at trading Tevin Jenkins, who, like, I guess if he's going to be bad, which he wasn't good last year in like a few snaps, he really didn't play much last year, but camp reports are also not great for him so far. He's getting like second,
he's been with the second team all offseason.
So maybe if he was going to be bad anyways, it doesn't really matter if you trade him, but they are actively giving away pieces that could maybe help Justin Fields. And if Justin Fields goes down, the whole offense goes down, right? If he's as bad as things could potentially get, you could have 100% of the snaps and 100% of the carries from a David Montgomery perspective, and it might not even pay off. And now we're not even getting that potential of like the workhorse back on the worst team in football. If that's off the table, I was with Pat. I wasn't drafting him before. Certainly not now.
I just want to thank you for calling the Bears the worst team in football. I hear so much about my Atlanta Falcons. That was
no. Falcons are bottom 5. They're a garbage team for sure. Don't get me wrong, but I'd take my money on Seattle and Chicago being worse.
I shouldn't have even brought that up. I asked for that one.
Yeah, you did ask for that one.
I wanted to have a little punishment there. Okay, now we are going to New York. According to The Athletic's Zach Rosenblatt, a guy by the name of Elijah Moore, quote, seems to have firmly established himself as the number 1 receiver on this team. This is notable considering that we were a little worried earlier this offseason, if I remember correctly, after the addition of number 10 overall pick Garrett Wilson, the continued presence of Corey Davis, that Moore could kind of become a little bit of a forgotten guy in this receiver rotation. So, Kyle, how, if at all, do you react and how do you adjust to this news?
Well, this is one of my favorite pieces of offseason news because it's the kind of offseason news that confirms my priors. Because Elijah Moore is really good in any situation, really. He's a player who can play in the slot. They can even move him outside. He's not particularly big for an outside receiver, but I think the NFL is very clearly trending towards, you don't have to be Calvin Johnson to play on the outside. The only hang-up for me, I guess, is the offense and the context of the offense that every single backup Elijah Moore did great with. And the backups all did better than the starting quarterback, Zach Wilson, was just god-awful. It's just terrible last year. And if he is as bad as he was last year, there's not really hope for me, especially given the addition of like Garrett Wilson, getting Corey Davis healthy, adding another good pass catching back and tight ends. It's sort of the passing game version of what we're talking about with David Montgomery. You can get every single snap, every carry as a running back on a bad team, and maybe you survive that, right? That's just so much work. And you can be an elite target hog like, Terry McLaurin has been on some pretty disgusting Washington offenses, and you can still get there because that's what the level of dominance for targets does. I think you have to be betting on improvement from the offense when you're taking Elijah Moore. Either that or you really didn't like Garrett Wilson coming out. And I can't imagine many people didn't like Garrett Wilson coming out. So when, it's more of just a win condition scenario, right? When I take Elijah Moore, he's a receiver who I'm pretty confident that I should be at least taking the quarterback slightly above ADP because you need the quarterback to be better given the talent in the receiving core around Elijah Moore, who I love.
Yeah, for me, this is kind of changed my plan on Elijah Moore a little bit because I have been a little bit nervous about him where he's been going in drafts. I really like him as a talent. I was very impressed with his rookie season. He was a great prospect. The whole thing about, whether he can play on the outside, I think was a major concern for him coming in. And then he flashed that he can. But I think it's still a little bit of a concern because, they then draft Garrett Wilson, who's more, I think, kind of just obviously going to be playing on the outside. So then it's like, okay, well, is it Moore and Wilson in two wide receiver sets, or is it Davis? This type of stuff makes me think it is Moore, which is a really big deal. But I do feel like we just can't have much go wrong here. It's a very the situation, because I don't really think Zach Wilson is going to take some massive leap forward, and he needs to take a significant leap forward to just not be bad. Mm-hmm. We really do need targets to condense, and we need routes. We need full route shares for Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, who I'm also drafting. But in a note about the Jeff Smith versus Denzel Mims battle,
a classic battle, one that we've been monitoring for decades, a millennium.
I can't believe we haven't talked about that yet on this episode.
So Zach Rosenblatt in The Athletic, he wrote about in relation to this battle, the Jets are loaded at wide receiver with 4 players: Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson, and Braxton Berrios, locked into significant roles. That's the type of stuff that still makes me nervous. I'm like, I don't want to hear anything about Berrios. I want to hear that Berrios hasn't seen a single rep with the ones. Like Berrios, that they're not running 4 wide receiver sets. This is kind of like a Shanahan style team here. Like, we don't want Berrios mixing in because that could mean like less than is more coming off the field when that happens. So I'm just like maybe overly nervous about the situation because I don't really believe in the offense taking this massive leap. Mm-hmm. And so I do need Elijah Moore to emerge as an elite target earner who's running all the routes, because he can crush even in kind of a weak offense if he's doing that. Otherwise, it could be a bit thin.
So it's a start, a positive step.